Seem nothing even matters. Seem nothing even.
Peace and blessings, family, and welcome back to A Queen's Crown. Today we are going to be talking to those who are interested in getting sister locks, or maybe to my queens who have just been established. Before we get into that, if you are not following A Queen's Crown on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, or TikTok, make sure you do so. Also, make sure you hit that notification bell, the thumbs up, and the share button so that you can receive notifications every time A Queen's Crown goes live, post, or share. So today I will not be doing my hair because I want to just talk. Know when it comes to getting sister locks or any type of locking method that it is a commitment. I want people to know and understand that when we are making this transition to decide to crown our hair, we have to make the decision wisely and we have to make it for ourselves. And if it's something that you're considering, there are a few things that I want you to know. So I do have my notes here today because I want to make sure that I do touch on all of the topics that I have for you guys today. So first, I want to mention, if you're thinking about sister locks, what's one of the first things that you should do? Do your research. When we are looking to do anything, that's whether go on a vacation, if we're going to do an excursion, if we're taking our family out for the day, if you're just going to plan your day, anything that we do, we look up if we're not already familiar with it. When we are familiar with something, we just typically go, like we're familiar with going to our grocery store. So what we do is we get in our car and we go. We don't have to look up and see where it is, what street it's on, how do I get there. We already know what to do, what's the process, and once we get there, what we're going to do. How do you know that sister locks are the locks or the crown that you want for you? How do you know that traditional locks are the ones you want for you? How do you know that micro locks are the ones you want for you? How do you determine what you feel is the best locking method for your crown? Well, what I always say is, what's the first thing that intrigued you about sister locks? Did you see someone wearing sister locks? What interests you in sister locks and why? When you answer that question for yourself and you see, okay, this is why I want it, is it reasonable? Is it rational to you? You get what I'm saying? A lot of times when we're making a decision, people cannot make that decision for you. You have to make that decision for yourself. So I tell people, when you're thinking about getting sister locks, do your research. Understand the commitment behind it. Did you look this up beforehand? And no knock if you didn't, because I understand it's just like in school. Sometimes you have those children that will do the homework and go over and beyond, and some people who would just do the bare minimum. And that is what we are here for, to educate and to help. But what I'm saying is that make sure you know some of the basics. What are some of the basics? How long it will take for you to sit and get your hair done. Making sure you schedule a consultation. Making sure that your hair is washed and not conditioned. These are some of the things that we'll get into later on in the segment. What is the cost? What is the maintenance? How often do I have to go back? Can I afford it? These are a lot of things that you want to take into consideration. Well, a lot of times we'll say, I like to change my hair too much. Or we'll say something like, I don't want to go through the process. It takes too long to sit there. I don't want to go through the ugly stage. At this point in the video, I just want to address the ugly phase. So we're just going to do a break in between the segment right here and touch on the ugly phase for just a moment. I don't want to go through the ugly phase. What is the ugly phase? Queens, what is the ugly phase? You are beautiful, so there is no ugly phase. Our hair transitions, our hair goes through frizziness, our hair goes through the locking process, but ugly phase, it just does not. We do not have an ugly phase, we have transitioning phases. So please, let's try to take that terminology out. And I know some people will try to correct, no, we just mean the process is ugly, and I understand that, but words have power. And when you speak those words, that's what you are speaking. And ugly is just not a word, that I like, nor what I use to represent anything about me. My hair, me, my clothes, my glasses, anything. So There's not an ugly phase, but a transition phase, yes. So let's try to change that. There's a phase that you go through where they change, but ugly never.
At this point, Queens, we will resume with the segment.
I don't want to go through those processes where I have to wait because it's, frizzing up, or I can't color my hair, or I can't do this to my hair. And I understand all of that, and this is why it is a commitment. This is why we have to do the research within ourselves and say, is this something that we can commit to? Because believe it or not, anything that we put our minds to do, if you are a track runner, what do you have to do? You have to train for it. If you are a swimmer, what do you have to do? You have to train for it. If you are a singer and you're preparing for a performance, what do you have to do? You have to train for it. So any process that we go through, we have to train for it. The hair is no exception. When we're considering the difference between sister locks or traditional locks, or sometimes even micro locks, or any type of locks, we think of how much is it going to cost. Now, yes, of course, sister locks can be pricey depending on which route you go. And what I mean by that is that there are some trainers and then there are some certified locticians. What I will say is you have a lot of trainers that have been trained that are very good. And a lot of times we'll say, well, they're just practicing. I don't want them to do it on my head. We all had to start somewhere. At one point, I was a trainee and I was being trained. And hopefully one day I can be a trainer, So we all start somewhere and we do our best on any head. Or at least I can only speak for myself. I do my best with anyone that I'm working with. When I was training, I did my best. Once I was certified, I did my best, and I still now do my best. And each time you just get better. So understanding, don't knock on the trainees. Trainees are just as good. Some trainees may have already been cosmetologists. They just decided to go into sister locks. Some trainees may have been braiding hair for a long time, can part very good and do just now getting into sister locks. Never judge a book by its cover and look and say, I don't know. I don't know if I want to use them. So we can eliminate some of the cost by maybe going with a trainer. When it comes to the cost, I can't say if a trainer or a certified consultant is charging too much. And the reason why I say that is because we all value our time a certain way. We all value our time differently. And if I'm sitting and I'm saying that this is what I want to charge for my time, I can't say that someone else is wrong for saying that this is what they want to charge for their time. Now, it's just if you're willing to pay it, if that's something that you can afford. And a lot of locticians will allow you to make payments. And if you trust that loctician enough, making sure you set up your contract, get a receipt, and you go ahead and you make a payment arrangement, make that an investment to yourself. I'm telling you, it is worth the investment. You just have to do it. One of the hardest things, or the hardest part of anything, is letting go. Just let go and do it. Come home, Miss Sister Locks, okay? What are some of the other things that we consider or we think of when we are looking to crown our hair? We think about what other people will say and think. If we're married, a lot of times we'll ask our spouse, I know I did, what do you think about this? I mentioned to my husband that I was interested in getting locks, and he was like, wow, I never would have thought that this was something you would have wanted to do. And I'm like, really? And so he was on board every step of the way. He was very encouraging. When I did my sister was my first client that I did. And when I did her, my brother-in-law, he was just right there the entire process and just very into it. He was there for the consultation, everything. And it was just great to see the encouragement from a spouse. So if you have that encouragement, that is also a big plus. But if you don't, or you have discouragement coming from your families, maybe they're saying, to you that, oh, that's not going to look right. Women don't do that. Men and women have been locking their hair for years. So if your family say don't do that, then you have to say to yourself, who wants this? Me. Who's going to sit through this process? I am. who has to pay for it? You do. Unless you're getting help from your family or you're asking them to help, then they may have, their opinions on you doing this, but it is totally your choice. Now, I want to take the moment and talk about, for those of you who may be thinking about locking your children. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, don't do that to that baby's head. They're too young. Wait till they get older till they can make their own decision. And I am a parent, but I am not trying to tell anyone else how to parent their child or children. What I will say is maybe consider or think of a few things. For those of us who have maybe little girls and sometimes boys that pierce their ears, when they're 2 months old or maybe 1 year old, or at some point in life, we don't give our children the decision to say, we're going to pierce your ears. It's culture for a lot of us to pierce our children's ears. And it's something that we do. So our children grow up with pierced ears. It is a part of them. It is their culture. It is who they are. And it is the same way with locks. If you put locks in your children's hair and you crown them up, they grow up already crowned, so they know that this is what it is. It's no different than any cultures that train their children up in a way that they want them to be or believe in. My son has been crowned for 3 years now, and he came to me and said, Mom, I want locks. I want locks too. And so what did we do? We crowned them up. Some people look and say, well, that process is too long for children. Well, it can be a long process for children, but think a lot of times children's heads are not as big as adults, and so therefore it may not take you as long to do children. In the sense of how many days, yes, it may take you a couple days to do a child's hair, only because you may want to break up the sitting. I will typically tend to do about 6 hours a day on a child. Make it comfortable for your client. If they're 3 years old, if they're 40 years old, you try to make it as comfortable as possible. And just know that with children, you may have a little bit of fidgeting, you may have a little bit of moving, but it's okay. For me, what I do is I just let them be them. I let them sit. If they want to turn, if they want to do this, I just turn and I do that with them. And I know it sounds crazy, but they're sitting in the chair for a long time. When I think about it, there are times if I'm conscious, I will say, okay, let's stand up, stretch those legs. But sometimes you can just get so wrapped up in your zone, going, that you don't think that this baby is only 3, this baby is only 4, this baby is only 5. But they'll let you know, Miss Rochelle, can I get up? Miss Rochelle, can I go to the bathroom? Miss Rochelle, my butt hurts. They're so honest and so raw, so I love it. And children are joy. So you want to make sure that if it's something you're thinking about doing, make the decision as a parent. So now that we've decided that we are going to crown our hair, which type of locks are we going to go with? I know a lot of times people will choose or opt to go with traditional locks because it is less expensive than Sisterlocks. But whichever locking method you're going to choose, the next step is finding a loctician. With Sisterlocks, we have a Sisterlocks website, and I will put that website in the description box. And on that website, you can go in and you can look for your city and state, and it also gives you the option to choose either a trainee or a certified loctician within your city and state. And then you just look to see who's available and you reach out to them, and then you go from there once you've made contact with them. If there is no one in your current city and state, then what you would need to do is look for someone closest to you. What's the next city or state that is, maybe within driving distance? You may have to do a little bit of a search. If you're using any type of social media, you may have to go on looking for recommendations just to see who's out there. But typically that is the procedure that you would follow. And I think I can probably say this for most consultants. A lot of times when you call or you're looking for a rate or a price, it is very hard to say this is what my price is, because that is what the consultation is for. The consultation helps us to see what it is that we're working with, how much hair you have, if it's short, if it's long, if it's thin, if it's thick, It allows us to determine how much time it will take for us to do your hair. And so it is hard to just give a ballpark figure. It's because I would need to see your hair. This way I need to get in it to determine what the cost would be in order to give you an accurate or the most accurate rate. There are just some things that you just cannot price or rate over the phone. Now, there are some consultants that have a flat rate. And if they have a flat rate, typically that's going to be the rate that it is. What I want to point out to a lot of the queens out here, because I know a lot of times people will go to social media and say, you know, I had a consultation and they charged this much. I had a consultation and someone else said they charged this much. No loctician is right or wrong for the price that they charge, because they are charging what they believe they feel their time and their value is worth. And it is up to you to determine if that is something that you want to pay for. Just because someone charges $1,000 and someone charges $400 does not mean that the person who charges $1,000 does hair better than the person that charges $400. It just means that one person charges $1,000 and the other charges $400. And a lot of times we don't understand that there's such a big gap between people and what they charge, even in the same city or state. When I do your consultation and I see your hair, what is this going to be worth as far as my time and still fair enough for you, and then everyone is happy all together. But we are trying to accommodate the fact that our lives will be paused as we are making a beautiful crown for someone else for a day or two, and what is that worth to me? So as long as we all have an understanding and we all respect everyone's decision, respect the decision of those who say, oh, that's too much. It may be too much for them. And if they don't want to do a payment plan, or they're looking for something a lot less cheaper, or just not in that price range that you're offering, it's okay. Just keep in mind on both ends why a consultant may be charging what they charge. And for the consultant, if a client decides that that is too much or that is just not what they want, being okay and understanding and not taking offense to someone not going with you. All right, queens, what to expect in a consultation? Got to sit back on this one. Okay, so when we are going to our consultation, it is very important, queens. It is very, very important to be on time. As for the consultant, to be on time and to be ready for you as well. You want to make sure you're on time, because sometimes we as locticians may be scheduling you in between another hair appointment, or we just may have things that we have to do ourselves. I mean, just honestly, some of us have families, you know, we have lives, and hair is not just all that we do. So it's very important that you're on time. Once you come to the consultation, the loctician should greet you as if they've been knowing you for a while. Hi, how are you? Welcome. Come in. You lead them to where they're going to be sitting. And when you are sitting with them, it should be a quiet, secluded place. You know, a lot of times people are very sensitive about their hair. It should be somewhere where they have privacy. You know, if you have a family and they can see someone pull off their wig or something, they may not be comfortable with that. And please, queens, please feel comfortable to address the loctician and say, listen, your husband is right here and I don't really feel comfortable taking my wig off, because we as the loctician need to make sure that you are as comfortable. And if the loctician that you are doing the consultation with does not make you feel comfortable, if it's something that she's doing or there's something that you see, I know a lot of times we're trying to be respectful and we don't want to say anything. If you don't feel comfortable with speaking during the consultation, then you won't feel comfortable during the establishment process to say if something is not right or something is bothering you. Maybe over time you will get comfortable with saying or addressing any concerns as you get to know your loctician. But you have to have the boldness and the strength that if you're not feeling something in the moment of being there, as long as it is not disrespectful, that you say to them, this is how I feel. If we don't know, we don't know. And trust me, I am very accommodating very accommodating. I will let you know, oh, I'm sorry. Those of you who may not know, I was born deaf in my right ear, so I do wear hearing aids. And if I don't have my hearing aids in sometimes in the morning, I don't like putting them in. And if someone is speaking to me and I don't have them in, I might say, I'm sorry, what'd you say? I might ask you a few times, as I'm processing it because I don't have my guides in. So don't feel bad. Try to be as comfortable as possible with the person that you chose, because if this is who you go with, you will be rocking with this person for a very long time, or for as long as you choose to stay with them. So you want to make sure that you are very comfortable with who you choose, who you pick. When you're sitting in the consultation, what's some of the things that the loctician should be asking you or you should be looking for? It is all based off of each consultation. I can only tell you what I do in mine, but every loctician may not do it in theirs. But some of the key things that should be pointed out, whether you address it or the loctician does, is why you want the type of locks that you're getting. What inspired you? What motivated you? What made you or helped you make your decision to choose the type of lock that you're getting put in today? Then I tell my clients, you do understand that this is not a hairstyle. If you're sitting in my chair and you say to me, if I want to take them out, what do I do? You're not ready. And this is not a debate. It is truly an opinion. But when someone is already thinking about taking them out before they even get put in, it's like, do you have a time frame? Like, is this only going to be a 5-year plan? Sisterlocks is a lifestyle. It's not a hairstyle. And when we treat it as a hairstyle, we look at it as a hairstyle. If you put them in and a few years go by and for whatever reason you're just not happy and you're thinking about taking them out, that's something different. Fight for your babies. The same way you would fight for your babies, fight for your babies. If they're doing something funky and you're like, what is this? I don't know what this is doing. Find out what it's doing. It's so easy to just give up and throw in the towel. But when you push, as you can see, I will be 7 years locked on January 19th. And I would have never thought that my crown 7 years later would look like this. I can pull these locks and I'm like, wow, this is touching my belly button. And so it is a process, but it is worth it. What else should we expect when we are sitting in our consultation? Courtesy. Our loctician should be smiling. I'm not saying they have to sit there like this, like, hey girl, how's it going? No, I'm saying that, if I'm speaking to you and I ask you a question, are you taking any medications? And you're answering, no, I'm not taking any medications. I should be, I don't have to be, okay, no, you're not, but okay. Or at least some sort of engagement. I want to be engaging with you. I don't want to be sitting looking at my phone like, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, really? No. We're making eye contact. We're engaging so that you're safe with me to be in your hair. You're safe with me as far as a person, and you're safe with me as your loctician. And if you don't feel safe, if you feel uncomfortable, what do I need to do to make you comfortable? Because I want you to be as comfortable as possible. We have certain protocols that we should be following. Most consultants know what that is. But one of them is showing the book and letting them see, turning the pages. This is the process of what your hair will be doing. This is bunching. This is what your hair does as it is locking. We need to make sure that they understand these terminology so that if they see something like this happening in their hair and they decide to Google it or call or say, this is what I noticed, they are using the right term. If you say to your loctician, oh, I believe my hair is bunching, but it's really just locking. If I don't know what bunching is to be able to explain it, I can't explain it to my loctician. So understanding the process, we should be explaining to them what their hair is going to be doing. Ask the loctician, listen, as I'm going through the process, what should I expect? If I go through this process and my hair is doing this and I don't know I should expect that, and then here I am like going crazy, like, oh my gosh, my hair is doing this, what do I do? Let's make sure that we are getting our questions answered. Let's make sure that we are asking questions. And so we want to both be helpful to each other. Tell me what I need to know. What are your problem areas? How often do you wash your hair? Tell your loctician everything about your hair and be as honest as possible. I know you have a problem here in your hair, but what is causing it? If you drink juice, does it cause it to itch? If you put a certain type of oil in your hair, are you noticing that you're starting to sweat? Like, what is happening that is causing the reaction, so that we can help you. So we want your hair to be just as healthy and as beautiful as any other crown out there. And the only way that we can do that is you have to talk to us and we have to communicate with you. Please make sure that your hair is washed with nothing in it. No conditioners, no oils, no anything. You want your hair in the most natural state as possible so that the loctician can see your hair in its most natural state and understand what they're working with. Shrinkage is real, I get it. But keep in mind, you have to have your hair in its most natural state. So if you get shrinkage and you're like, oh my goodness, my hair is longer than this, I've done it and I've seen, you're going to lose a couple of those inches. And I'm just being real with you. You will have some locticians, including myself, who will try their very best to keep as much length as possible. There are some people that just do not realize that. They'll say, my hair is shorter. Did you cut my hair? No, honey, this is just what it's like in its natural form. So making sure you understand that and the reason why it has to be completely non-pressed, non-conditioned. If you do still come in and it has oil, or if you have any type of conditioners in it, please do not be offended if your loctician says that we need to wash your hair. And maybe you just forgot. It is not an insult, it is not a knock. We may just say, did you put oil in your hair? Or did you condition your hair? Oh yeah, I forgot, but I didn't think it would be a big deal. Oh no problem. I'm just gonna wash it out because we just wanna make sure we don't have anything in your hair to interfere with the lock. Please don't be offended. And if you can remember, just try to wash your hair without putting anything in it. So now by the time that we're in the consultation, at this point we already know what the loctician's cost is. You know what her schedule is, and these are some of the things that you can even ask prior to setting up the consultation, maybe even before they put the testers in. Okay, I like this person. What's your schedule? Am I going to have a hard time coming during the week? Can I only come on the weekend? What is their schedule? Find out the cost of the retie. A lot of times the consultation will provide that information. Your loctician should say, this is how much it will charge. I will charge per hour, or this is how much my flat rate is for retie, because there are some locticians who only charge one flat rate. All of this information should be understood during the consultation, and all that get an understanding. Understand what it is that you're getting, understand what you're depositing. Locticians require a deposit, and it's just like anything that we do in any large investments. If we're having work done, a contractor come in, a lot of times people require a deposit. And it is the same with the investment that you're making for your crown. The loctician will require a deposit, and the deposit should be applied to the balance. Now, what do we expect on the day that we come in? If your time starts at 7, 8, 9 a.m., whatever time you come in until the time that you're there for the first day, you can expect, some conversation, maybe watching TV, using your phone, reading a book, whatever it is that you bring as far as your entertainment, falling asleep. But a lot of times I understand that being in that chair is peace and comfort and relaxation and time away even from just normal life. And sometimes people just want the peace of just the quietness. So I understand that as well. So you want the process of being established to be as smooth as possible. Locticians, try to make it comfortable. Ask them at times, are you okay? Do you need any water? If they don't have water, obviously if you see them sitting there with water, they don't need water, but ask, are you comfortable? Do you need to get up for a moment? I know sometimes we can get in our zone and just not think about it, but it is okay to ask, do you need to get up for a moment? Even if you want to say, do you want to get up, go to the bathroom, and if no, I'm good, then you keep on moving, but just kind of be courteous to just think about the person in your chair. So once you get through those couple of days or that day or however long it takes for you to establish that queen, what I always do is once we're done, I say their first and last name, and I say, welcome home to Sisterlocks. What happens after I finish the establishment? I pull my chair up and we sit down. We open up the starter kits, and in that box there is a pack of rubber bands. We take those rubber bands out so that they understand, open them up, and then what we do is I sit there and I take my rubber bands and I show them how to band their hair. I make sure that they know how to do it before they leave. I have them practice a few times. If they have questions, I let them know. Listen, give me a call, send me an email. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. They come back in 2 to 4 weeks. I retie them. I'm not here to say any way is a right or wrong way, because everyone has the right to do it the way that they choose. I'm just here to help you to understand what to look for and some of the things to expect when going to a Sisterlock consultation, what you should expect from the consultant, and what we as a consultant expect from you. It is very important that you follow the steps in the process the best way that you can in order to grow those locks the right way, the healthy way, so that you're not losing locks, damaging locks, interfering with your locks. You want to make sure that you listen. In the beginning, you want to try to stay away from those things that can pull or unravel your crown, because it is a very sensitive time and they are very fragile. So now we are all established. Our crown is in. We know how to band our hair. We know how to wash it. And if the loctician is one who washes hair, maybe she'll do your first wash. It is up to the loctician. Some consultants may have a salon or a space where they can, so they may be the ones washing your hair. So if that's the case, then of course they would band it. But once we are all done and we went through the process, we know when we're coming back. What's next? What do? We rock our crown. You wear it, you rock it, you own it, you be you. You are a queen. You're royalty. Love your crown. Love you. And very briefly, I just want to talk about the lifestyle of Sisterlocks. A lot of times you will hear me say Sisterlocks is not a hairstyle, it is a lifestyle. And understanding that the lifestyle is changing the crown that we're wearing into a beautiful crown of locks. And in doing so, we will notice that a lot of things change, even within ourselves, how we think, the way we look at things, perspectives, life, our bodies, what we put in our bodies. It can cause you to have just a mind change. Sisterlocks is not a hairstyle. It is truly a change of life. When we change this crown from relaxed hair to loose natural, that is a change of lifestyle. When you change from loose naturals to crowning your hair, that is a change in lifestyle. You know, it changes how we see and how we view things. So when I say Sisterlocks is not a hairstyle, it is a lifestyle. It intrigued my interest of wanting to work out and just change a lot of things about me. It will change your life. Maybe not overnight, but you will notice change once you crown her up. So everyone say it with me. Sisterlocks is not a hairstyle. It is a lifestyle. Now, out of all of the information I gave today, let's talk about some of the do's and the don'ts. Do your research, do what your consultant says, and do right by your crown. Some of the don'ts: don't listen to negativity, don't listen to what anyone else said, and don't cheat yourself. Crown her up. Lock this crown up so that you can walk around and be free, because that's what locks are. It is freedom. This crown, we're royalty. Why not have a crown? Because you're beautiful and we're queens. So let's crown them up. And if you do, you will not regret it. I hope this information was helpful to you all today. Thank you so much for listening to me. I actually enjoyed speaking with you all today. And if you don't feel comfortable with maybe speaking or asking your consultant anything, or you want to know what to expect or something that I did not mention in this video today, please feel free to email me at crownherwithlove@gmail.com. Also, if you are not following A Queen's Crown on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok, please make sure you do so. Lastly, make sure If you are not subscribed to A Queen's Crown, you hit that notification bell, that thumbs up, and that share button so that you can receive notifications every time A Queen's Crown goes live, posts, or share. I really appreciate you all being here with me, and I'll see you all in the next video. Amani na upendo, family.